Hello and welcome back to Gapeys Garden. We're here in the greenhouse where 95% of our peppers are, and I'm happy to report that all of our peppers have now set some pepper pods, and we're going to take a look at all of those. I've not harvested peppers off of every single one yet, but at least we've got peppers set on all of them. I will show you which ones are ripe and ready to pick, and we'll see what we can harvest today. We're going to start outside the greenhouse with our rocoto pepper. So this is the mini olive long rocoto, and I kind of lied, I kind of didn't. There isn't any pepper set on this currently, but it did have some. So it did have some at one time, but I think the rats keep eating them because they keep disappearing, and I have seen some rats on the camera. We had a Arlo camera in the garden here, and I've been seeing rats coming in here and causing some damage. So hopefully we get some more peppers to set on some of these flowers. We did trap one of the rats last night, so I'm hoping they will keep away from my peppers. Next up we have our Peppa Peach Stripey, which has been throwing out some odd looking pods, at least peppers that are not the shape that they're supposed to be. So they should be kind of roundish peppers, but these are kind of long and pointy. The good news is, though, that they are getting some stripes. I'm going to harvest a couple of these so you can see some striping on that pepper. And then I harvested one yesterday. Let me show you what it looks like. It has a really wide stripe on it, so it's mostly red and then just has kind of a big orange stripe down one side. Let me pick this other one. This one looks like it's probably overripe. Yeah, it's starting to dry up a little bit, but it's got some nice dark striping on it. I have not tasted these yet, so I'm not sure how spicy they're going to be, but the Peppa Peach Stripey should be a pretty mild pepper. Let's see, we've got another one. They seem to not last on the plant very long once they ripen because they start getting kind of wrinkly. But there's another kind of neat looking one. So as we harvest the peppers, I'm just going to put them here in this basket. Next, let's take a look at our 3 tangerine tigers. We've got 3 different phenos here. This one is number 38 from Craig Jennings, and we are starting to see some ripening. A lot of these are getting some purple blushing on them, but we do have stripes, which is good. So that one is a really nice looking one. It's kind of more speckled than striped. Let me just harvest that one if you can get a closer look. So it's a really pretty pepper. I think the walls aren't quite as thick as the smaller squatty phenos of the tangerine tiger, but they're still really tasty. This one is the tangerine tiger number 4 from Craig Jennings, and it is growing a little bit better than the other one. It's growing a little taller. It's reached the top of the cage, while this other one has barely reached the bottom ring on this cage. So it's about half the size as the other one, and it's not nearly as productive. We've only got 3, 4, I haven't harvested any off these yet. So 3, 4, 5 peppers on there. This one's got quite a few more peppers, and we've got a few that are ripe. So we're gonna go ahead and harvest some of these. So a similar kind of shape as the other one. This one has a more prominent striping on it. Let's see, I think we've got a few more. I think that's the only one I'm gonna pick for now. These ones could probably go a little bit longer, but once they start ripening is when they start getting their stripes. This is one that is not ripe yet, so you don't see any stripes at all. So you have to wait until they start ripening to see those stripes. I had to step back a bit so you could see the full view of the yellow tangerine tiger. This one is by far the largest of the 3, and it is pretty loaded with peppers, and we've got a few ripe ones. This one I think took a little longer to ripen than the others, but this is the yellow pheno. I think we have one ripe one here. Oh, it's not quite all the way ripe. There's a little bit of green at the top, but it'll finish ripening inside. But it's a really nice kind of a dark yellow color with some orange striping. Now, the only other pepper we have outside the greenhouse is this ninfadora, which is a really beautiful variegated pepper. And last year we did not get any pods to set on this plant. It was in the greenhouse last year, and it's had a lot of flowers, but no peppers. But I'm happy to report it has its first pepper. So this one did not have any pods on it when I did last month's update, but now we've got this little round pepper, and it does have a little bit of slight variegation on it. I think that's the only pepper that is set on this plant so far. So hopefully that reaches maturity and I'll be able to save some seeds from that. I do want to show one more pepper that we have outside the greenhouse, and this is not one that I planted. This is completely a volunteer, and I have never had a volunteer pepper reach any pods to maturity. So I'm hopeful that maybe, possibly, we'll be able to get this one. It does look like it is just starting to set some flowers in there. So I'm crossing my fingers that we'll get to see what pepper this is, because I have no idea. It must have come in the compost that I spread in this bed. But it's a pretty decent sized plant for being a volunteer. All right, time to take a look at the greenhouse. You can definitely tell peppers grow way better in the greenhouse. We don't get as cooler temperatures in the greenhouse during the summer, so everything just grows like crazy. Let's take a look at the back corner here where we have our chinense varieties. This beast here in the corner, this is the ninfadora that came out not variegated, so it's basically the same variety as the variegated one I just showed you, but as you can see, it looks nothing like the variegated version. So we got lots and lots of pods set on this one, and this got so big, I had to put a stake on it for one thing, and it was just getting way too wide and overcrowding this pepper that's in front of it. So I had to cut probably maybe 1/4 of this plant because it just got too big. But look at all of these peppers that are on here. It is just totally loaded, and I don't see any ripe ones yet. I'm guessing it may turn red eventually, but almost everything is a really dark green or dark purple color. And yeah, that's a lot of peppers. Now this pepper in front of it is the Caribbean red habanero, and this one also got super wide, and I had to trim this one as well. It seems these two chinense varieties just wanted to grow super, super wide. But last month when I did the pepper update, this did not have any peppers set on it at all. It had tons of flowers, but no peppers. But look at it now. We have got dozens of peppers set on this plant. Nothing is ripe yet, but boy is it loaded with peppers. So we should start seeing some ripen probably in the next few weeks, I'm guessing. Oh, as I was showing that, I just noticed back here on the ninfadora, we've got some red peppers at the bottom that I totally missed. So we're gonna have to pick those. I'm guessing these are kind of spicy. So we've got one here and another one here. So yeah, they do turn into a super red, bright cherry red color. This habanero and ninfadora are the only chinense varieties I'm growing this season. All the rest of these in the greenhouse are going to be annuums, which are more mild and sweet peppers. Some of them are a little bit hot, like this one here. This is one of the taller ones, definitely almost as tall as the chinense here in the corner. But this is the cayenne, and we have harvested some peppers off it already, and we did harvest some in our last pepper update. So this one is going to be purely used for making a cayenne powder. We've got quite a few in there that I'll be harvesting probably later today, and we'll start drying those in the dehydrator. Our Korean gochu is also getting pretty tall. This is one that I grow every year. It's one of my favorites. I use it for making kimchi and hot sauce and other things, but we do have some good sized peppers on there this year. I think they're a little bit bigger than usual, but this is a bright red, nice heat level pepper, good for lots of different things. And we can barely see our poor little shishito pepper in the back here. It's been getting pretty much crowded out by these other larger peppers. It has still been pretty productive though. I usually harvest these when they're green or just before they start ripening. So we've been using those in a lot of things. I made a really good corn salad with a bunch of shishitos and padron peppers. But we do have some that are starting to turn a little bit red, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick some of those. This one's a little bit smaller. Here we've got our padron pepper, and I think I saw maybe a ripe one in here. Maybe not. So this is another variety that it's good either green or when it's ripened to red. And actually I don't see any red ones in here, but I have harvested a few of these for my corn salad. I used them while they were green. But these are a little bit hotter than the shishitos. Shishitos are pretty mild for the most part. So I'm not going to pick any more of these just yet. We'll let those be for a little longer. I've been really impressed with this one. This is the Asilio Italian, and this is a sweet pepper. It's got not quite as thick walls as a bell pepper, but it is bell-shaped, and the peppers grow kind of upwards. But it has got tons of peppers on it. It gets way more peppers than a typical bell pepper. So I'm just gonna go ahead and harvest one of these. I've been using it in salads and just for fresh eating, but it's a really good pepper. I'm probably gonna grow it again. This is Jolene's Rustic Italian, which I've grown several times before. I've harvested, I think, maybe only one or two off these so far this season, and I think I see there's one that's starting to turn red. I think I'll go ahead and harvest, but it seems to not be getting as big of peppers as it usually does. This one isn't quite all the way ripe. And also this year I'm having some problems with that. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if, I think I've had rats in the greenhouse, but I don't know if rats are kind of damaging the peppers or what. But I'm having a lot of problems with this kind of damage on a lot of the peppers, including this one, which I've never had a problem with before. In the back we have escamillo. This is a sweet pepper that is orange and very similar shape to the Jolene's Rustic Italian. And it looks like we do have a few ripe ones in here. Let's see if we can get one of those. This one might be a little overripe actually. They're a little bit tougher to pick. There we go. There we go. And it looks like this one also has a little bit of that damage. Have you seen that on your peppers, and do you know what is causing that? Because I have not ever had this much problem with peppers in the greenhouse before. But this was one of my favorite sweet peppers that I grew last season. It's really sweet and has thick walls and really productive too. Here's our Lecia. It's a pretty short pepper compared to a lot of the other peppers in the greenhouse, but it does have quite a few peppers on it, and a lot of them are starting to ripen, and a lot of them are also having that weird issue. So I think here's one that's a little bit more ripe than that one. We'll harvest that one and take a look. So yeah, I don't know what's going on, but a lot of the peppers are getting this damage on the lower sides of the peppers. Now this sweet pepper I got from a friend, so it isn't one that I started from seed. This one's called Gatherer's Gold, and it is similar to the escamillo actually, but we've got lots of peppers in here, and I'm seeing some of that damage on those too. Thought I saw a ripe one in here, maybe not. Yeah, I think these ones are all green. I did harvest one or two of these. I think I harvested one in my last pepper update, but we don't have any ready to harvest today. Now this little guy is another one I did not start from seed myself, but I got this one from a friend. This is the smallest pepper in the greenhouse, almost as big as my volunteer pepper outside. But this one did not have any peppers set in the last pepper update, but we do have some now. So that's the biggest one there. We've also got another one right here, and the little guy starting to form there. So we may get to have a few ripe ones by the end of the season. Now we're on to the other side of the greenhouse. This is where all of our Mexican and jalapeno peppers are. In the back corner, we've got the pasilla pepper, and look at all the pods that guy has set. So these are really long and thin, and are also getting some of that damage that we're seeing in some of the other peppers. Some of them, this one doesn't have any damage at all, so that's a really nice looking pepper, not quite ripe, but they do start ripening to a little bit of a dark brown color when they're ripe, and this is going to be going in the dehydrator, and we'll make some chili powder out of that. And then we've also got some poblano here, and this is a hybrid poblano variety called Sargento, and we've got a lot of peppers in here, and they're pretty good size too. So I'm really pretty impressed with this variety. We have seen some of that damage on some of the peppers. Not all of them have that damage. A lot of them are looking really good, but this one right here, that's got some damage there on the very bottom. But for the most part, they're looking pretty good and about ready to harvest. Now this pepper is the third pepper of the Mexican trifecta. This one is the guajillo, and this one ripens to a kind of a dark red. We have one that's starting to ripen but isn't quite ripe yet, but you can see they're kind of a dark red that it's starting to turn. And this green one, I think I'm going to go ahead and pick this green one because it's got a lot of that damage on the side, and that's not going to ripen very well. So might as well pick that one, and hopefully the energy goes into these other better looking peppers. Now these next two peppers are considered, I think, landrace Mexican varieties. This one is called chile de agua, and I think these two are very similar. But this one, it's getting fairly tall, but not nearly as tall as our trifecta that we just showed. But this one ripens to a red. This one's partially ripe. It's only kind of half ripe. And this one has a little bit of that damage on the bottom. This one over here looks like it's probably all the way ripe. So we'll go ahead and pick that one. And this one is going to go into my chili powder as well. And then the other one behind it is called alcalde chili. And it is similar shape and similar color. And we've got a lot more ripe ones on here. I'm going to go ahead and pick this big one over here. All right. That's a nice looking pepper, doesn't have any damage. All right, now all the rest of these are going to be jalapenos of different sizes and shapes. Some did better than others. They're all, for the most part, almost all the same size actually, but some are more productive than others. Some are a lot bigger than others. This one is called the Traveler's strain, and this one is a little bit fatter and then some of the other ones. Oops, I just accidentally picked that one. But that is what they look like when they're green. I don't think we have any ripe ones on here. Oh, here's one that's just starting to ripen. I'm going to go ahead and pick that one so you can see how big it got. So here is probably the full size here on the left. Once it starts ripening, it doesn't really get any bigger than that. So this green one probably would have gotten a little bit bigger. This is the first one that I've harvested from the plant, so I'm not sure how spicy it is. I think it's supposed to be fairly spicy. Next up we have the temprana jalapeno, which might be the tallest of the jalapenos. We got some that are getting up there and touching the shelf. I've got my garlic curing up here on the top shelf under the shade cloth up there. But this temprana is a little bit different shaped. It kind of reminds me of the shape of the brown jalapeno that I've grown before. It's a little bit more kind of long and a little bit more pointy on the bottom. So I don't think we have any ripe ones to pick on here yet. I don't think I've harvested any of those yet, so it seems to be a little bit later to ripen than the other ones. Now this one here is the Party Popper Jalapeno. So this one seems to be liked by the aphids. I don't know if you could see that, but we've got aphids. I think this is the only plant I've seen aphids on. I have seen a few ladybugs visiting the greenhouse, but I've been just kind of squishing those with my fingers as I see them. But this one's got quite a few. But anyway, I don't see any ripe ones, but I'm gonna go ahead and pick one of these just so you could see what it looks like. These guys are nice and fat and kind of short. So these would be really good for making jalapeno poppers. Let me show you how it compares to the other one. So it's a little bit not as pointy, kind of more roundish, I guess. This one is a hybrid. I think this is might be the only hybrid F1 that I'm growing this season of the jalapenos. This one is called Pantera, and I don't see any ripe, but I see one starting to ripen. It's supposed to be a larger variety, and it is getting pretty large, but I think I've got one that's even larger, but it is a pretty good size. It's supposed to be similar to the Jedi, which I grew last season. I think Jedi actually got a little bit bigger than this, but this one is starting to turn a little bit red, so I don't think it's going to get any bigger. And this one is Megatron, and I think it's one of my shorter jalapenos as far as the size of the plant, but it's definitely got the largest jalapenos that I've ever grown. I don't think we have any ripe ones here, but I've harvested a few off of it. But look at how big. This one's actually a lot fatter than the one that I harvested before. But I'm really impressed with this variety, and I think I will definitely grow that one again. I got these from Botanical Interests, so I'm pretty impressed. There is a little bit of leaf damage on some of these. I don't know. Maybe a leaf cutter bee did that or something, but it's been doing really well, and I'm really impressed with the size of this variety. And it actually has pretty good heat too. Usually these larger jalapenos are pretty mild, but it has an impressive amount of heat for a large jalapeno. Now in the back here we've got Mammoth Jalapeno, and I think it's a hybrid, but I did not get this directly from a seed store. I got it from a seed swap. So I'm guessing the person I got it from may have saved seeds, so this is probably not an F1 hybrid. It's probably more like an F2 or an F3. So I see some red hiding back there, so I'm going to go ahead and pick that one. So this really isn't jalapeno shaped to me. The end of this is definitely a lot more pointy than I would expect from a jalapeno. I still haven't tasted one of these. This might be the first one I've harvested, so it also feels like the skin might be a little bit less thick than a jalapeno, so I don't think I'm gonna grow this one again. We're on our last jalapeno. This one is the Jedi. It was an F1 hybrid that I grew last year from Johnny's Seeds, and I saved seeds, so this is the F2, and it is a little bit pointy for a jalapeno, but it's not as pointy as the other one. So I think it's a little bit, and it also feels like it's got a lot thicker walls like a jalapeno should. I have not harvested any of these yet. I don't see any that are red or starting to turn red, so I don't think I'm gonna harvest any just yet. But I am curious to see if these taste like a jalapeno or not. But I probably won't save seeds from this one. All right, well that is how our peppers are looking at the kind of mid to end of August. Can't believe it's almost September already. Now let me know what your favorite pepper that you're growing is so far this season. Mine is probably going to be maybe the Acilio Italian is probably my favorite of the new ones that I've tried so far. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.